difference will your report make, do you think?
Well, I hope it makes a big difference. Until now, the world has vaguely known about what's happening in North Korea, but North Korea doesn't engage, and therefore we don't know the detail. Well, the report of the Commission of Inquiry collects all the detail over 8 or 9 headings, ranging from prison camps to abductions to famine and starvation, and the world will now have the full report. It'll have all the detail, and the question will be, what will the world do? Will it simply go ahead with no action, or will it take action? And I hope it will be convinced by the report into taking action, and quickly.
So there have been reports about these prison camps and the way people have been treated for some 60 years or so now. Why now?
Well, the mandate was given to the Commission of Inquiry by the Human Rights Council of the United Nations, and that mandate required us to examine a whole range of matters, including prison camps. That was only one of the matters, and to consider whether the evidence came up to the level of a crime against humanity, which is a very serious, deliberate, violent act against civilian populations. Well, the Commission of Inquiry, having received a lot of testimony and having analysed it and reported on it, has concluded that there were crimes against humanity and that there should be accountability for it. So we have now provided that report. It'll go to the Human Rights Council in a month's time, and it will then, I hope, come under the scrutiny of the other organs of the United Nations, perhaps even the Security Council. And one hopes that out of that will come action. Not just talk, action.
But of course, a member of that Security Council is China, and China is perhaps the only, if certainly one of the only allies of North Korea. Do you envisage that potentially being a stumbling block?
Well, China is a very great country and a very important country, important in economic as well as political terms. If you actually analyse what the Foreign Minister for China said today in answer to questions, he didn't say that there would be no action or that China would necessarily veto the taking of action such as the Commission of Inquiry has raised as a possibility. I think we've got to allow China the opportunity and the respect to read the report, to consider it, to consider all the many wrongs that have been done, including to Chinese nationals, and to consider what should be done about it. And I'm hopeful that when China does have that consideration, it will decide either that the matter should be referred to the International Criminal Court or that some other appropriate action should be taken to gather the evidence, to have a special prosecutor, to take the testimony into account and to wait for a time when it can go to an appropriate tribunal.
So I was speaking to our correspondent Mark Stone earlier on today. He interviewed a couple of people that had been in these prison camps. He said that it was a very harrowing experience. I believe that you have potentially interviewed just short of 300 people. What impact did it have on you?
Well, I don't think really the impact on me is so important. I'm just doing a job. I'm reporting faithfully, honestly and accurately to the United Nations. But it is gruesome, and I've been a judge in Australia for 34 years, so I've certainly over my time faced a lot of pretty horrible stories. But this, in the sheer number of people, in the sheer horror of the events, in the cruelty, in the public executions, in the abductions, in the starvation of little babies. A third of Korean babies in North Korea are severely stunted. All of this comes together as a truly horrifying thing that is happening in our world today, and that is what crimes against humanity are expected to do, to propel the human species and their instruments of government to take action out of the sense of horror that they have that this could possibly be happening in the world of today. And I certainly hope that that will be the outcome of the report over which we've laboured for the better part of 7 months.
So I read that you had been moved to tears by some testimony that you heard. If you were to make an appeal, to make a plea to the United Nations and particularly the Security Council about this report that you have laboured over, what would that be?
Well, the appeal to the United Nations is there in the report. It will either be powerful and effective, or it will not. Even in our own countries, in Britain and Australia, people conduct reports, they conduct inquiries, they give their reports, and then it's over to the political leaders. Well, it's the same in the international community. It's over to the leaders, the political leaders of the nation states gathered in Geneva or New York in the United Nations, and they are human beings too. They push trolleys in supermarkets, they have their families and their loved ones, and one must hope that this will not just be another United Nations report that gathers dust.